Good morning to you. Daybreak here at iFiber One News Radio. I'm Jeff Slakey. Got a great guest in studio right now, and we'll continue to check in on the latest news from around the South Sound throughout the morning. Sergeant Trevor Severance from the Mason County Sheriff's Office is with me. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. We saw quite a change in the weather here over the weekend, but it had been very warm and a lot of people out on the waterways. This 70 degrees for the next couple of days probably won't keep people, and that's one of the topics we want to talk about, safety on the water, right?
Right.
Tell me a little bit about the uniqueness of Mason County, how it works, how law enforcement is able to respond on the waters, and all sorts of good stuff.
Well, one of the unique features about Mason County is the amount of water we have here. Not only do we have many navigable lakes, we also have a good portion of the Puget Sound and Hood Canal, which provides a huge array of places people can go, have a great time, whether they're fishing, water skiing, wake surfing, whatever. A couple of issues is just being safe about it. The lakes do get crowded, and regardless of how hot it gets, our waters are still cold pretty much year round. In fact, the Puget Sound doesn't get much more over 50 degrees below the surface throughout the year. So one of the issues is it's hot on the surface, you jump in, and your body has quite a reaction to that cold water.
How far down does it get to about 50 degrees? Just a few feet?
Sometimes, depending on currents and such like that. If you be out, I was actually recently out on Lake Newatzel at a buddy's house, and first couple feet, it's nice. It's almost like bath water.
Yeah.
But you get those nice cold swells that come up from the bottom of the lake, and they'll take you by surprise.
They sure will, and it could be a real shock to the system if you're not ready for it.
Absolutely.
Wow, okay. And I know the Sheriff's Office, the search and rescue, it's all a volunteer thing as well, too?
Right. On the search and rescue side, including our divers, is a completely volunteer organization. We do have our marine enforcement program, which I am in charge of. We currently run 2 boats, mostly during peak times on the weekends and holiday weekends during the summer. We're also there ready to respond for any emergencies that do come up.
Do these boats stay on the salt water, or is it one salt, one freshwater? Does that even really matter?
Well, currently right now we have our safe boat, which we're blessed to have, that sits on the Hood Canal year round.
Okay.
That's our big water response boat. The Hood Canal can get really rough, and we are fortunate to have a big enough, strong enough boat that we did get from the Coast Guard surplus program to be able to respond out there. We also have our 19-foot Alomar, which we keep trailered and garaged for emergency response anywhere else, either in Puget Sound or any of the lakes.
It's got to be difficult at times to be able to get to some of these places throughout the county, as there is just so much water, and it's not like you can just do a straight shot across the canal for some of these things.
Right. It is very difficult. We have a lot of remote lakes. Some of our incidents actually happen in areas that people typically don't boat in. So you're looking at some of the smaller lakes that the access may not be as great for us to get into. So we have to get a little creative at times.
What should or what is legally required for folks to have with them when they're on waterways, especially with kind of communication to you guys? If
well, some of the things you're required to have, your mandatory boater education card, and we'll touch on that. That allows everybody to have a basis of training and an idea of what they're supposed to have and how they're supposed to respond, and basically the rules of the road when navigating a boat. Life jackets. Life jackets are required for everybody, required to be worn by anybody under the age of 13 on a boat 19 feet or less.
Okay.
And that includes what most people don't realize is your stand-up paddle boards. Paddle sports. They are considered a vessel by the Coast Guard and Washington State.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you're on your paddleboard, you have to have a life vest or that sort of device with you. If you're under 13, you have to have it, be currently wearing it. And it is definitely something that we're trying to educate people on, because it is something that has become a big issue because everybody's loving the stand-up paddle boards.
Yeah, it's a really popular sport these days.
Yes.
Interesting. So talk to me about how and where you go get your boater education.
Well, there are several different ways. In fact, we're going to host a class coming up here on September 8th, if I remember correctly, at Public Works. The boater education class, you can either do it online or through a local agency. State Parks also has some offerings. You can look on their website and find that. The class for us, when we host it, the class itself is free. It'll cost $10 to send to the state to get your boater education card after you complete the course and you have your certificate. But it's really great information. It really provides you how you're supposed to navigate, a lot of the safety equipment that you're required to have, and get a better understanding of that. We do vessel inspections when we're out on the water doing enforcement. And there are certain things, including the boater education card, that are required for certain people that could result in a ticket. But typically we're out there to educate. So we make sure that that's happening first before we get too much into the enforcement part.
If you're out on a boat and you see another boater acting in a way that is not appropriate or anything like that, what are some of the things that you should do to either call ahead, or do you engage with anybody, or how do you work with that?
Just like anything incident on land, avoid the incident, call 911 and report it, and we will respond as quickly as we can. Like you said, it is much more difficult to respond to an incident on the water than it is on land.
Yeah.
I can drive my car right to your address. You hit the water, it's a little bit different. There's a lot more prep for us to get on the water. We have to make sure that we're safe before we go out. So it takes us a little more time to get to the water incidents.
Some of the lakes and the waterways have little inlets, and people have their favorite secret little spot and stuff like that. So if you have to call 911, how best do you describe your location to get someone there quickly?
The best way for us would be if you happen to have some sort of GPS system on your boat. A lot of the radar systems or marine radios have GPS built in them, or on your phone. Give us coordinates. We can look up coordinates. We can figure out where that's at.
Sure.
If not, the best descriptors you can give of where that is on the lake. Lake Cushman's a good example. There are some prominent features that you can pick out.
Yeah.
And there are some nice little hidden coves that even some are my favorites. But be able to really give us a good description. Also giving us a good description of your boat, or the boat that's in distress, or the boat causing the issues. Especially if you can get what we call the WN number, the registration number, because that really helps us narrow it down. If we go out and we're looking for a black boat and there's 7 black boats on the water, it's a little tedious to try to figure out which one we're looking for, and we may miss the incident if we're not.
Do you go to the public boat launch then when you get onto just a lake, for example? Then is that how you get in? And should a boat try to meet you there, or
if that's appropriate and if that's the best way to do it? We do launch from public boat launches for the most part. Our Hood Canal boat sits at the Alderbrook, thanks to they're nice enough to allow us to dock it there. But everywhere else, we pretty much launch from a public launch.
Okay.
So if that is where the best way to get in contact with us or help us get there, absolutely. But those are kind of case by case basis. We can discuss it through 911 dispatch to how best to meet up, or how best the location is.
Well, we got a lot of water on the in Mason County and around, and a lot of people enjoyed their time out there, so it's important to have good working knowledge. September 8th, you say, a Public Works class?
Yes, that'll be posted on our website.
Okay, we'll get that and we'll put the show notes with links to all that as well. Sergeant Severance, good to see you this morning, and thanks for that good information.
Thank you.